Excellent. So, everyone, you're very welcome to this week three of the Develop Your A Game mentoring cohort with me, Bev, your facilitator slash mentor. And today is going to be fun. Today is going to be a hands on, practical evening where we're going to do a lot of sharing. So get ready. I think all of us should share at least one thing. You don't have to share everything, but at least one thing. So we're going to be setting process goals, process driven goals, and we're going to be vision boarding. Vision boarding may be less so because you need a lot of little bits to do that. So without further ado, I'm going to start the session with a bit of an introduction on the topic. So tonight's topic is building your vision board and setting your process goals for a successful life, for successful living. And I think everybody here can agree with me. We all want to be successful, whatever that means to you, whether that's having a happy home, whether that's having peace in your heart, whether that's having a high powered career, whether that's having your business and it's doing well enough to make you and your family comfortable, whatever that means to you. We're all looking to be successful, and in a sense we never stop wanting success. It's not a pinnacle you get to and you suddenly sit back and think, oh, I'm on the top of the success mountain, I'm good. No, even Bill Gates, even I don't know if that's a good example personally, but a lot of successful people are continuously developing themselves, like developing your A game. So it's a continuous thing. It's a lifelong thing. It's a lifelong journey of learning and just being dedicated to learn co-facilitating this with me, and I'll introduce her in a second. Welcome, Nkem. We're about kicking off now. We've got our mentees in the room, and where's it?
Nice.
Oh, awesome. So, to introduce the session, I'm just going to go through some theoretical bits, nothing too long, because really I'm more excited about handing you over to Nkem to, get to the juicy part. So, I'll just do a 10-minute introduction on what the topic is about, and then we can get to the real nitty-gritty of setting our goals. So, just give me a second, and I will share my screen with you. One second whilst I share my screen. Here we go. Share. And I hope you can see this. One sec. Slideshow. Okay, here we go. Okay, so again, you're welcome to this week three personal development mentoring session, building our vision board. So this is me and Nkem. That's her, looking quite serious, but she's very approachable. Don't worry, and myself. Okay, so we're talking about vision boarding. What is vision boarding? I think I did a sense check in the first session, and I was happy that two people at the time, Adenike and Ayomide, both said that they'd done vision boarding before. That it's an exercise that they'd both done before and had both enjoyed. So I don't know if I can just do a quick check now around the room. Raise your hands if you've done vision boarding before. Anybody here? Glory, Diola. Diola, I know me and you have talked about vision boarding in the past, but I don't know if you've actually done it. Ifoma, Charles, have any of you done vision boarding? Or is it just Adenike and Ayomide? Anybody? You can raise your hands, just indicate. Anybody? Okay, no one. Okay, great. Great. So that means lots and lots of learning tonight. So, what is vision boarding? It's a visual representation of your goals. So, imagine having goals around your education. I want to do an MBA by the time I'm 35. You could have like a picture in your mind. What school do you want to go to? I want to go to Wharton. I want to go to Harvard. I want to go to Stanford. So you have a picture in your mind of that school. You can see it in your mind. You can visualize yourself standing in the school, perhaps even sitting in the lecture theater. So That's a visual representation. But when you put it on a board, when you have a poster and you have different images and text, these all represent effectively what you're trying to accomplish. So, in a nutshell, a vision board helps you set clear aspirations and goals for your life. Okay, so you can literally grow and transform into what you have envisioned for yourself. Okay, so one thing about vision boards, you have to put it where you can see it. Some people believe in putting it like above their bed, so when they wake up in the morning, it's the first thing they see. That's quite obsessive, but if it works for you, fine. Some people put it in their offices, in the study, just somewhere where you look and engage with it on a daily basis. So it uses something called law of attraction. I don't know if any of you here have heard of that terminology, law of attraction. So it's almost like you have desires for what you want for your life, and the more you desire it, the more it comes to you. That's like a whole separate topic, but effectively it uses the same theory of law of attraction, okay, to manifest your goals. I'm sure that's a word that you hear a lot. You know, there's a lot of buzzwords right now. You go on social media and you see, I am manifesting wealth, I am manifesting good health, you know. So I'm sure many of you have heard that term manifest before. So goal setting and vision boards, do they work? I'm sure some of you might be thinking, I'm not sure, this sounds a bit, especially men. I'm not trying to be too presumptuous, but I know women, maybe because the way we think is a bit different, women, you'll find more women tend to use vision boards more. But it doesn't mean that it's only women that can tap in. So Charles on the call, I'm sure Martins will join us soon. It works. It's just manifestation, really. It's just focusing a lot on what you want to achieve for yourself. Nothing more, nothing less. So setting goals. We all know that setting goals helps us achieve more. There's something in the Bible that I always like to relate to from Habakkuk, and it says, set the vision on plain paper and let the reader run with it. It's one of my favorite verses of scripture. I relate to it so much. Because I do believe in writing goals down. Yes, it's great to have it in your mind, fine, but there's something about putting pen to paper that just makes things different, okay? Whether it's short-term goals, long-term goals, it's just a good thing to practice. So what kind of things could you put in your vision board? Okay, so you might be thinking, oh, I only need to put very serious things. But you know something, there's nothing like more serious and less serious. It's your life. Whatever you desire for your life is what you want out of your life. I'm just checking the chat very quickly. Okay, Diola says she haven't. Okay, Charles says I was going to say. Gloria says nay. Okay, great. That's great. So hopefully this is a new experience for the majority of you, and hopefully for those who've done it before, this will be a rehash. So going back to what can you even vision board on? You've got intrinsic goals. Nkem is going to do a fantastic job in a bit, so I'm going to try my best to get to that quickly. Intrinsic goals relate to emotional intimacy. You know, like I've said in the previous sessions, we're social creatures. Majority of humans need social interactions and social connections to feel like they can reach their potential. You know, it's through those connections that you get other connections that take you one step closer to your goals, to feeling great about yourself. Remember, mental health is a goal as well. Let's remember, mental health is a goal, because without good health you can't do anything. The extrinsic goals, so that covers goals that are external to us, external, social status, wealth, physical appearance, how we look. Those are all goals that we also tend to aspire to. I want to lose 10 kilos. That might be a goal for some of you. Oh, I want to become for lawyers in the house. Oh, I want to become a SAN. I want to become a senior advocate. For people who are in sales and marketing, oh, I want to attain 10,000 clients under my region. Whatever it is, we all have intrinsic, internal to us, and extrinsic goals. Okay, So just before I end my session and Nkem starts, this is like something I found that I thought you guys could look at. So this is Barack Obama's, I would say, political vision board. So you can see Oprah Winfrey. Oprah Winfrey was one of his main major backers when he first ran. Look at how young and fresh he looks in that picture on the right. And you recall Obama is very big on family. So at the center of everything here, you see the family. And that's something that resonated with him from the beginning of his campaign, whilst he was in the White House, till when he left. He walked into that White House holding Michelle's hand, and he walked out of that White House triumphantly holding his wife's hand. So family is a very important aspect of life for Barack Obama. You can see his book. For some of us in this room, we may be thinking, I want to write a book. It could be a commercial book, it could be a personal book, it could be any type of book, but your goal is, I want to become a writer. So Barack Obama's book, The Audacity of Hope, was a massive hit, as we all know, and that came out after he was appointed president. So you can see all these amazing images of things central to that political campaign that he ran. So this was a kind of mood board, vision board that I found, and I thought this hopefully will inspire some of us to remember that, look, no matter what our goals are overall, we can have family goals at the heart of those goals. We don't necessarily have to be all business minded. Your vision board is a combination of you. It's unique to you. So anyway, I just thought I would do that quick intro on vision boarding, and I would like to ask Nkem to unmute and turn on her video, and I'm gonna just stop this video for a second and share. I'm going to share another video. Hold on a second. Stop share. Stop. Okay. So I'm going to look for Nkem's
visual aid.
Yes, exactly. Yes. So hold on a second, please, whilst I bring that up. But Nkem, please, I would love you to introduce yourself whilst I
Oh
get set
yeah.
up. Okay.
Hello everyone. Hello Adenike. Hello Ayomide. Hello Glory. Hello Ifama. And hello Adiola and Twali. Twali, I don't know if Twali is a greeting or it's your name, but I will call you Twali because that's what I see. It's his name. That's a beautiful name, yes. So hello everyone. My name is Nkem. Everything Amaka said on the post is true to some extent, but personal to her. So I'm a communications expert. I've been doing that for 13 years. And in addition, I have had to go through a series of training on personal development and life strategy, what many people say life coaching. But I started that journey because I was frustrated a couple of years ago. I was frustrated with the life coach or the coaching market because I was looking for a personal coach. But everyone I spoke to was either focused on my career or focused on my relationship. I didn't find anyone who was ready to just focus on everything and say to me, how are we going to go to the next level without leaving any part of your life behind? And so it was a struggle for me. And so I came across a couple of programs that focused on the whole life. And one of the programs that I attended was by a man called Bob Proctor, who's late now. But he talked about your life being like a wheel. And with a wheel, for everything to be balanced, everything must move together, right? And that's how we have to see goal setting for our life, right? Goal setting shouldn't be particular to a job or particular to wealth, right? It should be all encompassing, okay? And if you're not able to set your goals, if you're not able to set goals, you can't have a vision board. because a vision board contains everything that you desire and all your goals. So we're going to start. The first thing we're going to do is to identify what the 7 areas of our lives are. I call them arenas, right? The many areas of our life. There's health, right? Health really speaks to your mental health, your emotional health, your physical health, and your spiritual health, because all of this make up who you are. You know, the perspective of your emotions, your physical health in general, your spiritual, your mental, they're all connected. They're all connected. If your mind isn't well, it will affect your body. If your body isn't well, it will affect your mind. If your spirit isn't whole, it will affect every part of you. So everything biological is psychological and vice versa. You know, I mean, I hear people say a lot that when they wake up in the morning and they say, oh, I'm so exhausted, immediately their body shuts down. It happens to me so many times. I wake up and I'm like, I'm so exhausted. And my body just shuts down and I go back to sleep. So sometimes we forget that our body is just more than bones and blood and skin. It's a lot more. It's everything else. So that's health. Your environment, which is another area of your life, is the space and the people you choose to surround yourself with. So how is your space at work? How is your space at home? How are the people at home or at work? Do they really encourage you to grow? Is this a place that is positive? Does it allow you to be creative? Does it allow you to be at peace? Because your external environment is shaped by your internal environment, right? So, or rather, your external environment somehow shapes your internal environment. They both play together. So you can imagine going into a place that is dirty, untidy, and how it affects your mood. Or going into a place that is really dark and, you know, has funny things around it. You know, it sort of triggers fear in you because you're like, what's going on here? You know, so our environment internally and externally always play with each other. So it's very important that we even plan our environment, set goals for our environment. The next thing is self-image. I know a lot of people see self-image as how good looking somebody is, how tall the person is, how short, how fat, how beautiful. All of those things are great, but they are labels because your self-image is so much more. The opinion you hold of yourself is your self-image. It is not defined by beliefs. It's not defined by limitations. It's not defined by the labels people place on it, right? All those things that you inherited from people or that people decided to describe you with, all of those things are not your self-image. Your self-image is the opinion you have of yourself. That's why it's called self, not people image of you. So you can redesign your self-image, right? You can redesign it because the foundation of your self-image is your self-worth. And your self-worth is already given to you. You don't have to ask for it. You don't need to demand it. It's something that is given because you're a human being. And every human being is born with dignity and already has dignity in them. And then we talk about wealth, right? And wealth isn't just about having money or having lots of savings or assets. It's more than that. Yes, it's abundance, but it's abundance of time as well. Abundance of resources. We talk a lot, I mean, for those of you here who are Christians, we talk about time, talent, and treasures, right? That's wealth. Wealth is not just one thing. You find people who live took a life of poverty, like Mahatma Gandhi. You know, he wasn't a very rich man, but he was wealthy. He had abundance of life. He had abundance of time. He had abundance of resources because he might not have the money, but I'm sure if you call people who had the money, they would come to his aid to help with whatever projects he wanted to. Your connections, your network, all form part of your wealth. So wealth allows you the freedom to give more and to be more present with the people that matter in your life. That's what wealth is. Wealth is about abundance. It's not necessarily about finance. Finance is one of the things of wealth, but it's not the only thing that makes one wealthy, okay? And then there's family. Right? Amaka talked a lot about Obama. In fact, when I saw that Obama's vision board, it just reminded me of how much of a family man he was. He is rather. He's not even interested in as long as he has family, he's okay. You know, as long as he has family, he's okay. And the foundation of every human being is family. Even those who are abandoned, those who are less privileged, they all come from somewhere. The foundation of everybody begins in family life. That's what shapes our perspective. That's what shapes our beliefs. So if you come from a family and you haven't started your own family, you also have to plan that. You have to set a goal for where you want the family to go, or how you want your family to go if you haven't started one, and how you show up in your family. How do you want to describe yourself in the family context, right? Either as a father, as a mother, as a sister, as a daughter, whatever it is. Because all of these things can greatly impact the lives of those people that are part of that family and make up that family. Okay. And then we have relationships. And these relationships isn't just about relationships with a boyfriend or girlfriend or with your wife. It's about friends, right? Friends, obviously, and then those that matter at work, those that matter in your career, growth, and all of those things. Those relationships matter. How are you dealing with those relationships? How do they accompany you along the journey towards your higher self, towards the truest and most sincere version of yourself, right? Are these relationships serving you or not? If they're not, how do you plan to improve on them? What sort of friends do you have? Do you have all your friends, the friends that you can be yourself with? Or are they friends that you have to hide certain parts of yourself? Because those things as well can be damaging to our growth. The last part is impact. Impact is more about contribution, right? All of us are born with a mission to contribute towards humanity, towards the world. It's an intentional life of giving and receiving. Our life isn't just about receiving. We also have to give, because it gets to a point you receive so much and you're choking. You find people at work, they've worked for so long, they get to the highest point and they become so bored. And you're wondering, why are you so bored when you're at the highest point of your life, of your career life? When you dig deep, you find out it's because they've acquired all this experience, all this knowledge, but they haven't even poured it into anyone. They haven't taken up someone to say, you know what, let me train this person. Let me mentor this person. Let me help this person up on the career ladder. Nobody does that. Or you have so much money in the world, and yet you're so miserable. Why? Because you're not giving of yourself. It's not what you do, but who you are that really becomes the greatest contribution of yourself. That's what brings impact, right? Impact is, imagine on a scale. I don't know anyone here who's ever worked for a startup or who is on a startup journey or who has a startup. There's a scale from when you start to when you scale. Okay. At the startup stage, you are noticed, right? You're very noticed. In fact, a lot of startup companies are noticed. But look 3 to 5 years down the line, you see that only a few of them get a seat at the table. Those are the ones who are relevant. But then 10 years down the line, not all of them are remembered. Many of them are either stuck at getting noticed or stuck at relevance, but never get to remember stage. They don't get to remember stage because they have not had any impact or contribution. And that's the same thing with our lives. Many of us get noticed because of, again, the labels that people place on us. Oh, do you know that girl with the blonde hair and the long lashes? Oh, do you know that girl who's very tall and so beautiful? Oh, do you know that girl who works at so and so place? We all get noticed. And then you can get noticed and relevance. Oh, do you know that tall, fair girl who was really good at mathematics, or who was really good at auditing, or who was really good at speaking publicly? That's the relevance, your skills and your experience, right? But then to get to remember is, do you know that girl who really, really gave at the time when people were not giving? Do you remember? She was the one that made that woman the MD, or she was the one who helped us get this process going to the point that it is now being used in XYZ place. She gave her time. It is because of her we're able to continue this mission. That's what impact and contribution does. And that's something we also need to build into our vision board and into our goal setting. Okay, so we're going to do a bit of an exercise, right? I hope everyone got some clarity with regard to these areas? If you didn't, I can speak to
I
anyone.
thought you were super clear. I thought you were really clear. One thing I want to reiterate is when you said, how are we pouring into another person? So
Mm-hmm.
impact is not necessarily measured by how many, but quality,
Mm. The
right? So
quality,
it could
exactly.
be just one person that you're pouring into. I really like that. It's
Mm-hmm.
like a cup. So you're filling the cup of another person.
Mm-hmm.
I really like that.
Exactly.
I
Yes.
like that.
Because we didn't say how many people, because you can have one person and do it really well and really give of your time, you know. I mean, it's a struggle. I'll tell you something when it comes to mentoring. I know people find it really frightening when I was much younger. And they would say, do you have a mentor? And I would say to myself, it's so funny. I don't know. I really like this person, but I'm so afraid. But what people don't tell you is some people don't even speak to mentors. They just have. So I have learned two things: to have a virtual mentor and to have a live mentor. A virtual mentor is someone who you're just sort of following them virtually, right? You keep up with what they're doing, some of the things they're saying, where they're going. So there are people like that I look at them like, okay, I see how this person has charted her career. This is my career mentor. This is where I want to go, right? And when it comes to self-image, I say, I like how this person has, designed her life and designed herself, what are some of the things I can take on, right? And replicate for myself. I don't know these people personally, right? I'm just looking, admiring, and seeing how I can, in business terms, migrate best practices. Okay. And then when you really find that mentor who you can click with, live version now, it becomes easier for you because you already know what you want. And that brings us to our next exercise, which I think Amaka had said everyone should bring a pen and a paper, right?
Yes, yes. These are the tasks at hand. We've got four
Yeah.
things we're going to be doing this evening.
That is going to be so mind probing. Those of you that don't like thinking, this is a thinking exercise. This is when you're going to start examining yourself. And two things I beg of you is be intentional, right? Be sincere. Don't exaggerate what you have and don't play down what you have. Just be sincere with yourself. So I want you to look at these various areas that we've talked about, right? The initial areas that we've talked about. And I want you to examine each area and say to yourself, what is it that I want and what is it I don't want in these areas? So I'm going to use myself from, say, 3 years ago, right? I'm going to use my 3 years ago self to speak to these areas. So Amaka, can you go back to the first slide so I can just take each
Okay.
one?
All
Yeah.
right. Okay.
So the first one, right? The first one I didn't want for myself was health. I said 2 years ago, 3 years ago, my father was diagnosed with diabetes. And I came home and I was like, oh my God, this thing, anyone can have it. I have a sweet tooth. I can't do without toast bread. I like jam. I like to chew gum. And I won't even chew just one. It has to be like 3 in my mouth. My cheeks have to hurt for me to really feel that I'm chewing gum. Lollipop. I can have like 10 in my bag. I can buy like a bag of buttermint, put it inside my bag and be eating it. Chocomilo. God. But yeah, this was me. And so I said to myself, I don't want to have diabetes. That's one thing I don't want. And I don't want to be overweight. Right? And then for my health, I said, I want to maintain the weight of 65. And I don't want to go more than that. That was, for me, that was what I wanted. I wanted to be, my weight should not exceed 65. That was a goal for me, right? That was what I wanted for myself. And the next thing I wanted for myself is I said, I never want to feel I can't wear certain clothes. So that means I don't want to have a pot belly. Like for me, I said, I don't want to have fat around my stomach. It can't happen. That was my health goal. I want to have steady weight and I want to have, a stomach that had no issues or signs of diabetes because it had a pot belly or any of those things, right? For my environment, right? A time in my life, that time in my life, I was surrounded by very toxic work environments. And the home front was frustrating because I lived in an estate that wasn't well managed. And so it was very frustrating for me. So I realized, number one, I didn't want to work in an environment where I didn't have a say or I was afraid, right? And I didn't want to come home to a place that wasn't well managed, where I would feel tense. I didn't want that. I didn't want an environment that was, that wasn't the environment that wasn't healthy, right? That wasn't clean. Those things mattered to me, right? I wanted a place that was clean and warm, and I wanted an environment where I wasn't afraid to speak up. So those are some of the examples. Now with self-image, right? I know a lot of people, I don't know if it happened to anyone, but there's a time in your life where you begin to doubt yourself. You begin to take on some of the things that people say that you are, right? So I've heard things like, oh, you're not a very cheerful person. Oh, you frown a lot. Oh, you're too friendly, or, all sorts of things, right? So I said, I don't want to be that person who is unapproachable. Right? That was the first self-image. So I don't want to be unapproachable. So I want you to see that self-image isn't physical characteristics, right? It's more than that, right? It's more than that. It's not defined by limitations or anything. So I didn't want all those limitations. I didn't want to be seen as unapproachable. It's limiting, right? I wanted to be approachable. That for me was what I wanted. I wanted to be approachable. And I wanted to be seen as someone who brought light to people's lives, right? Who was joyful around people, right? Who people were happy to be around. That's the self-image I wanted. And then it goes on. I'm not going to bore us, but I wanted to give you an idea of the kind of things you should be asking yourself. It could be one word: health. Yeah. Under health, you can decide physically fit, right? That's one thing that you want for yourself. And one thing you don't want for yourself is sickness, right? So think of those things, right? And then let's give it like 2 minutes. And if you're done, you can just put your hand up, and then we'll go to the next task once you're done.
I hope everybody got that. I thought that was really nice, and Nkem sharing. Like it's difficult to run this without sharing.
I mean, it's important. I think people need to know that they aren't alone on the growth journey. People need to know. People need to know that
If we're not comfortable with sharing for me, I find that people who are successful, I hope my internet is not wavering. I find that people who are successful tend to be people who share. Okay, Glory is raising up her hand. Glory, you can unmute yourself. You can unmute yourself and share.
Well, I'm actually not about to share. I just need to ask a quick question.
Go on, please.
And it's basically around self-image. It's a bit interesting that you spoke about. I mean, I think I still have a bit of confusion around how to, set goals around that, area. It's interesting you spoke about the fact that you don't want to, people to think that you're unapproachable. But don't you also think that, okay, so let me draw on a personal example. So I work with a team of about almost 30 people. And then some people find you really approachable, and a few percentage just think you're not, and I sometimes think that, what majority carries the vote. So if you have a tiny percentage of people that do not align with what the majority says, would you really consider that as an area of weakness that needed improvement? Because the reality is you really can't get everybody to like you or have the same perspective about your person. So I mean, it becomes very confusing because you're now sort of like trying to be what you're how do I put it? Trying to please, everybody, and it's really sort of like possible to please everybody.
Yes, but that it's a good thing you say this, Glory, because what I want to say to you next is, you can't please everybody, but if you're sincere with yourself, so I had to be sincere with myself. I had to ask myself, are there roadblocks that are inhibiting me from always giving off a positive self-image? You would know, right? You would know when there are situations or people who make you tighten up, right? But do people need to make us tighten up all the time? Like it's the truth is you can't be everything to everybody, but you would know when you have put out your best self. And that's what I realized. I realized that those people who thought, oh, she's quite snobbish, oh, she's so unapproachable. I realized that I was secretly in my heart put off by them one way or the other. Either because I knew something they were doing that was irritating me, or they had done something to me. People will do things to you. You will hear things, you will read things, you will see people that are doing shoddy job, right? You might not approach them, it might not affect you directly, but you are aware. And sometimes our awareness of things can influence the way we put out, or can influence how we present ourselves or how we are around such people. So it's not really about trying to change so that people, it's more about asking yourself, are there times when I give off a wrong vibe because I'm subconsciously upset about something that may have happened elsewhere, or transferred vibe or aggression or whatever. So it's not about trying to please everybody. Your self-image is really about how you repair, what you give off. When people see you, what do they see? Do they see a positive person? Do they see someone who is joyful? You may not be the kind of person that goes around smiling up and down, but you have a face that someone looks at you and they're like, oh, I can approach this person. Right? Yeah. I'm not a smiling person. In fact, Amaka said to me once, Amaka, I'm going to put you out here. She said to me once, when I first saw you at St. Charles Borromeo, I just said, this girl, she's so, why doesn't she even smile? That stuck with me. That stuck with me for a long time. I'm like, oh, really? I don't smile. But it was a good thing because it made me conscious of the fact, because people could look at me and like nod or smile, and I'm like, straight face, So Glory, yes, I hear you, but self-image is really much more than pleasing people. It's just being comfortable and confident that you're putting out positive, that you're putting out a positive self-image. So a lot of self-examination goes on here when you're trying to assess your self-image. Are you happy with who you are right now? Right? Is your personality opening doors for you? These are the kind of questions you ask yourself when you're assessing your self-image, right? Perhaps are you confident in your ability to make the best choices for your future, right? And even something like, do you protect yourself from allowing other people's, opinions influence your decisions or your actions? Those are the things you assess yourself with when you're talking about self-image. Okay? Is that clear, Gary?
Yeah, much clearer. Thank you.
Okay. So awesome. Yes, so that's any other
Ifeoma's got a question. Ifeoma, go ahead, please. Unmute yourself. Go ahead, please.
It's not more of a question. I wanted to share something.
Please do.
Yeah.
So I'm sharing because I'm on my healing journey. I've been on it for like 2 going to 3 years now. So I grew up with an auntie and I lived with her for 24 years. Now this has to do with my environment. In fact, environment, health, everything that is on here, I'm looking at it and I'm just laughing in my head. So it was so bad that I never used to talk to people. It's not like you're not friendly, or you don't want people around you, or you don't want to be around people. It's just the fact that nobody would understand how damaged or broken you are. And I hate doing transfer of aggression or having to project my insecurities or my bitterness, anger onto another person, because I realized earlier I was an empath. So whatever pain anybody, if I have to walk through fire, I literally start shouting so that everybody don't have to walk through that part again. And I had to cut off everybody and block. In fact, I blocked literally everybody, but it's not been easy. The relationship part, the people you want in your life, but sometimes They don't used to hear boundaries. People just don't see boundaries, even if you make it very glaring, like, I don't want you because you're toxic. They don't see it. And I hate shouting and nagging, but sometimes it just makes you break all over again. This mentoring class I'm taking is one of the things I felt I needed, which is why I'm taking the class. It is not even just for you. So I've been listening to you and I've asked myself the goals, aspirations. It's different for everybody, really, because I'm looking at everything. Health-wise, I was really sick. I realized that you were right, very correct. Whatever, like how you said, you wake up in the morning and you tell yourself, oh, I'm really tired, and your body automatically shuts down. So I didn't know that half of what I was going through then was because I was badly depressed. So it affected my health, and I didn't know that was what was affecting my health. Because when I moved out 2 years ago, and everything changed. And sometimes I just laugh and I'm like, how? How did I not see this on time? How did I not see so many things? It's not like you don't want to do this, and I don't want to do the blame game, but sometimes you find yourself going back and forth on it. And the goal, it never really sticks because you want so many things, but there's so many things you want and not, it keeps mixing every time. Like you go 10 steps forward and then you find yourself like you've not even started. It's really harder than everybody's making it seem. It's not like I don't want the visual board, the goal setting and everything. I want everything, but it's more difficult than everybody's making it. It's more difficult than it seems. In reality, it's more difficult. It's not as easy as it. I'm looking at it now. It's really, really more difficult. I know how many times I had to pat myself on the back every day and tell myself, oh, don't worry, you're doing a good job. And because I was emotionally broken for so long, I've gotten to, and I had to create this barrier and had walls and fences that sometimes even when if I see someone who is good and genuine, I know this person is good and genuine, but breaking down those walls are even harder than even the person coming from outside to break. Even the ones inside are so difficult to break. It's recently I started allowing people hug me. I can hug children because anytime, any day, I'm a fan of children. I can work with children because I feel they are so innocent. And everything, every human you see, every adult you see was once innocent like that. It's in everything we see and know are things that were taught or people who have seen. So either you choose to become that person or you choose to become a different version of whatever. But the thing is, Father, it's not as easy as being said or being taught. It's not something you just snap your fingers and, oh, everything is fine and everything is good and you're just where you want to be. If not, I'll snap my fingers 30 times already. But oh well.
Yeah. Ifoma, thank you so much for this, actually. I think you've really, really put things into perspective because I was about to say something before we started the next phase of this. We all have to be patient. We're all on different journeys, okay? Our transformation, our having to be able to achieve our goals or whatever we set for ourselves is in itself a journey. You having to sit down and self-examine your life and the various areas of your life is a journey. Yes. And it requires patience and perseverance. But most of all, you have to trust that you can shift from where you are to where you want to go next. Absolutely. And it's not necessarily about setting 5 goals for yourself. It's just one thing, one goal for one area of your life. Because remember what I said, that life is a wheel. Every area of your life is connected. You talked about how your environment was affecting your health. And I'm sure if you look deeply, it was affecting your relationships, your family, your ability to give of yourself to people. Even the ability to even think of the many things around you that could create wealth for you. Right? So you are very right. We're all on different journey paths and it's not easy. Starting is difficult. Starting is difficult, right? Starting is difficult, but you have to remember that it is a journey, right? It's a journey. You have to make time. You have to be consistent with the one thing that you choose to do for yourself every day. You have to invest in yourself, in your growth, by keeping the promises you make to yourself. That's just what it is. So I think anyone who tells you that it's easy to do that, or who comes across as saying this thing is so easy, is telling you a lie. And that's exactly what I felt when I spoke to many coaches, when I was looking for that mentoring and coaching thing. I felt they were all just saying, speak it to existence, command it, it will happen. Just, I was like, no, I'm many things. Don't talk to me like I'm just one thing. I'm many things, and I have many responsibilities, and I have many areas of my life. Now that you've said that, there's something I now want to say to you, Ifoma. There's an 8th arena of life, right, that I had put initially, but I had taken out because I wanted to speak to everyone about it separately.
Let me take this.
It's called intimacy, right? Intimacy. That was the 8th arena of life, right? And Amaka, if you recall, there were 8 bars, and then I called you and I said, you know what, take out that 8th bar, because I wanted to speak. Yeah. Now, there's a very special space in our life, right, that is reserved only for the person you can share the most vulnerable part of your life, of who you are with. And I want you to see that place and that person as a place of rest, as a place of freedom, as a place of growth. So if I'm in your situation, that intimacy right now is yourself, because that's who, in yourself, that's where you get rest. That's where you get freedom. That's where you feel that there's growth, because you have just said you have to pull yourself out of that place and somewhere. For some people, it's their spouse. For some people, it's God. For some people, it's their child, right? So you have to think, in all of these arenas, there must be that 8th part of your life that is intimate, known to you and that person. Okay? So I want you to have that at the back of your mind when you're doing this, because what that does for you is knowing that there's a place of intimacy and a place where you can be most vulnerable, you can feel free, you can rest, and you can grow, is where your accountability lies. Is where you go back and say, tell me, am I doing better? So it's even about, if your intimacy lies in yourself, is asking yourself, look, Twale, are you doing better? Have you improved on your relationships? Right? Or Glory, how are you doing with health? Are you doing better? What about environment? If it's your spouse that is that, is that person that is your intimate arena, is to say to your spouse, tell me how I've been doing with the environment. I've been wanting to create this environment. How am I doing? But what is important is that that person understands that you're on a journey. So when you start this journey, you have to let it known to whoever it is that is this intimate person, be it yourself, be it God, be it your pastor, be it your children, be it yourself, to say, I'm on a journey. It wouldn't be immediate, but this is what I want to achieve by the next 6 months. You need to tell me how I'm doing. Okay? And you have to let them know that the boundary that I'm placing is that you can't judge me. I'm sharing this with you because you're my intimate other, right? And I want you to hold me accountable, but not to judge me, because holding me accountable is not to judge me. It's to say, you've done really well. Perhaps you can try this. No, it's, is it not you that said you want to do this and you're now doing this? Oh, that's not what I want. So yes. So I think that's the first self-examination. Does anyone have any other contribution or questions before we go to the next task?
I do.
Hi, how are you? Adenike, hello.
Hi. So I just wanted to contribute. My personal issue when it comes to goal creating, I don't even think is that I can't make goals or I can't stick to goals. It's that I change my mind a lot. I'll give you examples, right? So in undergrad, I was doing a pre-law degree, and then I was majoring economics. In first year, I decided that was not for me. And then I went on to triple major, which I did not need to do, but I could not decide on the majors to take. So I did all three. And then somewhere in the middle, I decided I was going to be a journalist. And then I actually started writing. Like I got published a lot. Like I was like sufficiently working towards that. And then somehow after that, I decided I actually want to go into development. And then I started working towards that, like, you know, publishing more academic things, picking up all the, you know, law courses that has to do with development and whatnot. So I go on to do that. And then I started to take being a lawyer seriously, and I went to law school. So, and in all these like things I decide I want to do before I do them, it's not like I don't take it seriously. I take it very seriously. I set goals, I start working towards those goals. I in fact like start achieving things towards the goal, sorry. And then like I'll be somewhere in it and I'll be like, no, I don't think this is for me. And then I'll start a very intense journey in another direction. So how do you set goals when you as a person have a propensity to be indecisive? The propensity, yes.
So
thank you, that's the question.
Okay, I'm going to put a caveat here because 10 years ago, I probably would never have had the balls to say, look, all of me includes children coming in and talking to me and me being distracted by spouse and all of those things. So I'm going to put that here. I'm going to be distracted a lot by people around, but my ears are here. But you're going to see human beings moving around and coming to do things around me. But, you know, it's all part of me. Please take it on. So I didn't care. I want to tell you something. Goals aren't goals if they don't move. That's the truth. Right? Goals aren't goals if they don't move. Why do they move? Because we have better realization of ourselves. Right? So you decided I wanted to do economics, right? Or let me use myself. I also wanted to do law at school. And halfway down A levels, I decided I'm not going to do law. You know, I'm not going to do law. I'm not going to do law at all. I'm going to do economics and politics. And so I changed my entire goalpost and went on to do economics. And then after economics and politics, I realized, no, I don't want to do this either. I want to be a writer. So it happens. Your goals are supposed to change. They have to move with you, move with your realization of yourself, right? So it's not a bad thing at all. The idea of a goal is not for you to stick to it and say, I want to be a lawyer, henceforth, that's my goal. That's your starting point. A goal is a starting point. It's meant to graduate, it's meant to scale, right? You can decide on your vision board to put, say, I don't know, a house in the city, right? And then one day you realize, you know what, pollution rate is high in the city. And then that moves. That's no longer your goal. Your goal is to be in a place that has less pollution, right? Our goal is integrated transformation. And transformation isn't bam. Transformation is gradual. It changes, it moves, you know, it's fluid, right? So don't think that because you've said this is where I want to go, it doesn't mean that while you're getting there, you're saying, actually, no. I'm happy with the process of getting there, but I'd rather go here. Because every time you're journeying towards a goal, you're building skills, you're gaining experience, and you are growing in character. Those three things are more important than that goal, because those three things are the things that will even get you to achieving even bigger goals. Okay? The most important thing to remember is also that it's a unique journey. There's no comparison to what you wanted to and what you had done. Or there's no comparison with who or what you had, or what you want to, or who has. There's no competition. So just eliminate any thought of, but it changes. Oh, they will judge me. Oh, but that is where I wanted to go. See your goal as your starting point of getting to where it is that you're finally supposed to be. Okay? Does that work? I didn't get.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Okay, so any other questions before we go to the next task? I think the next task is
Nkem,
the
just a
design.
quick
Yes,
one.
okay.
Just a quick one. Yoma just
Mhm.
came in, so just wanted to acknowledge her and say hello. Welcome, Yoma,
Hi,
to the
Yoma.
Hi, hello everyone. Thank
Hello, nice to
you.
see you. Nice to see you.
Nice to
And
be here. Thank you.
oh, it's lovely to have you. And Nkem's just been taking us, she's actually taking us through a really lovely session on process goals, vision boarding, and I guess the many areas in the life arenas, if so to speak. So I just wanted to say something because I really like to rehash amazing things I hear. One important thing you mentioned from that great comment that Adenike had, which was, and Adenike, I can relate with you. I'm like you. I love many things. I get distracted. Today I want to write. Tomorrow I want to do compliance. The next day I'm in sports. The day after I'm in entertainment. I've lived a kind of unquote distracted from the outside. It looks distracted. It looks scattered and self-image. Where Nkem says you get to a point where you have to stop worrying about how people perceive you. Yes, there's a thin line, I know. There's a thin line because the politics still comes in. But I think what Nkem says that I'm even holding on to is once you get confident with that mishmash of all these different things you love about yourself and you do, that's where people stop seeing you as scattered, indecisive, and they see you as a multi-potentialite. So I can relate with you, Adenike, because I also have multiple interests, multiple things that I do to earn my living and all that. And one thing in Kem said that really gets me is sometimes it's not the goal that's important, it's the skills you acquire along the way. So even if your goal is to write a book, and my goal is to write a book, I've had this goal for like 2 years and I'm not done. But the research process is a new skill I'm refining, I'm fine tuning. So in Kem, I really like that. Sometimes it's not about the end, it's about the process and about gathering these amazing skills in all these different areas along the way. So I'll let you carry on, Kem.
Yeah.
Integrated transformation, my buzzword for tonight.
Yes. Yeah. So there's something I also wanted to add, and it's just listing, with rethinking, circling back to what Ifoma had talked about, and also what Adenike has said. And what I want to say is that if the entire process of trying to set goals for yourself, right, does not resonate with your current situation, right, use it. Use it to be aware of other people's narratives, right? Because what it does for you is, especially with you, Ifoma, what it does for you is it helps you build compassion and awareness. So I know it's difficult to especially when one has been hurt, to really just say, maybe that person as well was hurt and just didn't know how to express it and just try to express it in such a toxic way. That's an awareness that you've come into of that person's poor decisions, right? But it also makes you sort of build a certain compassion to say, I'm quite lucky that I'm now aware of my own self. I feel sorry for them that perhaps they don't have the opportunity to really search and be aware of why they have acted in such a way. So when we're going through this whole process of examining ourselves and setting goals for various life arenas, you might not want to do it now. That's okay. If it doesn't resonate with your current situation, that's fine. It's okay to just sit in it and just listen and see how, other people are going through the process or what we're talking about, and then use it to just be aware of the narratives of other people in your life or situations in your life and things like that. So that's what I wanted to just add on. So next slide, Amaka, so we can go to the next task.
Okay, this is it. Step 2, desire.
Step 2 is desire, right? So once I had gone on Google and searched desire, yeah, I know it's rubbish things come out when you write when you type things like that. But the first thing that, I said desire meaning, that's what I put in. And I was already just holding my breath and saying, please God, let nonsense not come out of this thing, I beg, But what struck me was the first thing that popped up was, it said etymology of the word desire, right? And it had broken down the word desire. I don't know if I've shared this with you before, Mika, but desire means, desire is, it comes from Greek origins to mean father, right? It means father, and not father as per, obviously, Greek mythology, they had gods and things and all of these things, but father in the sense of someone higher than a human, right? And obviously, we know the word D means from, right? So desire means from the father, right? So when you look at what desire means, and then you look at things like, purpose and things like your mission, right? You then realize there's nothing that is laid in your heart that is strange, right? That is why we hear people say, not every desire needs to be acted upon, because some desires are obviously things that have been formed from our experience, from things that we open our senses to and all of that. So no purpose, no mission that you set out to do comes from nowhere. It comes from above, right? So it comes from a being beyond our comprehension. Your desire is why you want to, it is the why you want to achieve whatever it is you want to achieve, right? It is from your desire, from your purpose, from your dream, from your mission that your goals are born. So, for instance, my number one desire is to be impactful, right? To be a woman of impact. That's one of my desires. I feel like my purpose in life is just to be impactful in the life of many, right? So, and then I say to myself, if that's my mission and if that's my purpose, then I need to set goals. And that's where the decision comes. So I want you to look at each area of your arena of your life and say, what is my purpose in this area of my life? What is my desire for this area of my life? So for instance, for self-image, I want to have a positive self-image. I want to give off positivity. I want people to see me and be happy. I want people to see me and feel like I make them very important. So every day I have an encounter with anyone, I want that person to say, gosh, I feel so important. She makes me feel so important. That's my daily goal when it comes to self-image. That people around me feel that they're heard, that they're seen, that I know them, right? Even if I've just known them for 5 minutes. So I give an example. And this is because I was reading about Bill Clinton. I know it's so funny, but I was reading about Bill Clinton and just generally his life and what people used to say about him, that he would greet you as if he had known you. He would greet you as if he had known you forever, right? And I was like, that sort of man, that's probably why he was able to, I guess, have whatever he had with Monica Lewinsky, who knows? But I just thought, I could imagine that kind of person speaking to people at the shops. He'd probably call them by their first name because he'd come and he'd looked around and he's seen their name tags and he's gotten their names and all of that, And so I started saying, that's the kind of self-image I want. I want the kind of self-image where people felt important around me, right? So that's my desire, to make people feel important. And so it meant that I had to have certain goals. That's the decision-making part of it. So that's what I want you to think. I want you to think about each area of your life, your self-image, your health, your relationships, your impact, your environment, your wealth, your family. What is that one thing in those areas? What is the purpose that you want in those areas for yourself, in relation to yourself, right? That you want in those areas. So for health, it could be, I want to be physically, mentally, and emotionally balanced. It could be balance. Health could be balance. I just want to be balanced when it comes to health. I don't want to have perfect health, but I just want to be balanced. And that could be your purpose, right? For relationships, it could be, I want to be available. I want to be available to my friends. I want to be available to my family. I want to be available. That could be that. It could just be availability, right? When it comes to impact, I say to myself, I want to be courageous. That's my purpose when it comes to impact. I want to be courageous. I don't want to be afraid to offer myself to someone. I don't want to be afraid to share of my knowledge or of my treasures or of my time, right? I don't want to feel, I beg this person will disturb me too much. I'm not taking their call. I just want to be courageous enough to contribute of myself, of my time, of my talent, right? And then environment, right? The purpose for your environment could be, I want a calm and peaceful environment. That could be your desire. That could be your mission. That could be the purpose that you want for environment, right? For wealth, you could say, well, my purpose for wealth is I want to be able to not worry about tomorrow, right? I want to be able to not worry about tomorrow. I want to know that I have access to wealth. And that's one of the things I say, I'm not asking for $10 billion. I just want to be able to have access to wealth. And access to wealth doesn't necessarily mean it's in your account. It could mean that you have the network, the connections, you can get what you need to get done, So these are the parts I want you to consider when thinking about your desire for each arena of your life and each area of your life. Are there any questions? In step 2, are we writing? And if we
I've
are,
been writing. I've been writing.
if anyone's reading anything, please share, because I've not heard from Twale. Is he with us? He's very quiet. Is he very contemplative?
Yes,
What's
please
going on?
share. Ayomide, you've been quiet. You're the only one who's not spoken. Let's see what the chat
Please
is
share some of your
saying.
desires, because maybe there are
He
things
says
that
he's here.
maybe there are things
Yes,
that we too need.
Yoma says scribbling frantically. Okay, let
Question.
me
So,
share. I'm here taking notes. Okay, you know what? Let me share. Like I said, the self-image, I've really, really I've taken a lot from it. And I've also taken two things. Sometimes when I think about self-image, I think about me for me. I
Mhm.
didn't actually think about me for others. Although I'm
Mhm.
lucky that a lot of me still reflects others, but I don't. Okay, so for instance, you said I want to appear welcoming, and I thought, oh, that's actually something I've never considered. I think I'm lucky that I have that kind of personality, but I can see how if someone is perhaps friendly but shy, you can make that a goal. I want to appear more welcoming. So for me, one of my goals is generosity, and not just generosity of time, generosity of resources. Because sometimes I say to myself, I feel terrible when I can't give as much as I would like. And I know I'm not egotistical enough to think that I can solve the problems of every single person around me. But that being said, I still would like to be able to do more than I currently am. So I want to be more generous, not for my, not, well, yeah, not for myself, but for my community. And that self image of being welcoming and hospitable and kind, I guess, but in
Yeah.
not to look good, but to just help other people. So I really, really,
Mhm.
really like that. I
Mhm.
want to be more knowledgeable so that I can share that knowledge with others. So
Mhm.
I started thinking about the self-image a lot, a lot. What kind of
Mhm.
positive
Mhm.
image do I want to keep driving? And How do I want to keep leveling up? Because I know everybody here, and you've reiterated this, we're all at different stages. No, it was Ifoma that said, it's not easy and we should never make it seem like it's easy, and it's not. Everyone's journey is different, but everyone is at different levels. So for me, how I want to keep growing. So I want my generosity to go up. I want to be more assertive. I guess again there's a thin line between assertiveness and being too arrogant. So I want to be balanced. You said that about health, but actually I want to be balanced. Well, it's a trinity thing, health of mind, body, and spirit. I want to be balanced in my emotions. I want to always remember that everyone has something they're dealing with. And again, Ifoma beautifully laid it out that people are not, like you said, Nkem, we're not just flesh and blood. We have minds, spirits, experiences. We're coming with so many things. And when we take people at face value, we can easily lose something because we make a judgment call as to their, as to maybe how they react to certain things, not realizing that they're coming with so many things at the back of them, and even they might be having a hard time trying to unpack it. So I want to be balanced so that I don't jump to conclusions easily, and that's one thing I do tend to do. I do jump to conclusions easily sometimes because I see the world sometimes through my lens, which is dangerous because we're all different. And what Glory said about managing a large team, and you can't be everything to everyone, but at the same time
Yeah.
you have to be so comfortable in your zone that people can come with their different personality, and that takes a lot of hard work. People are coming, relating with you in different ways, and it's not changing you. So you're not suddenly, because that would be me of 5 years ago. I was an emotional chameleon. So if you're happy and nice to me, I'm happy and nice to you. We're having a great time. But if I get someone that's a bit moody, their spirit is low, I find myself doing that. So that balance is major for my self-image. I really want balance of my spirits, my health and body. So that's what I wanted to contribute. Yeah.
I wanted to thank you, Amaka, for that. I wanted to share, someone who I had similar conversation with, and when we talked about the arenas of their life, I said to them, "What are the three things that you want from your self-image?" And I don't want you to just answer just for answering sake. I want you to really think about it. Look at your entire life in the family, at work, in your community, with your friends. What are the three things that you desire, right? And I want you to see it as the things that you choose to be next, right? The next side, the next phase of your life, right? That's what you choose to be, to become. A bit like thinking, say, 3 years' time, you want to say, I am this person. And she said, for my self-image, I want to be an effective communicator. I want to be thoughtful, and I want to be courageous. And I said, okay, that's good. Okay, that's very good. So why do you want to do those things? And she said she wants to be an effective communicator because, she wants to be able to judge when to address certain situations. She wants to be able to speak in a way that people are able to listen, right? Because they see that she has deep respect for them and for herself. And that she wants to be able to communicate firmly, but also tenderly, right? That's why she wanted to be an effective communicator. I'm just giving an idea of, how to, when you're coming up with your goal and your mission and your purpose, that these things come together. Your why is important. So if you see, my desire is to be, when it comes to my image, I want to appear, I want to be known, to be felt as someone who is thoughtful, because I am thoughtful. you must remember that there's a why behind it. There's a purpose, because it's the purpose that will help you to work out what you need to do, right? So if you want to be thoughtful, it could be that, okay, I could go above and beyond to make my friends feel special, which is what I was saying earlier, and that I always want to make people feel they're very important, right, to me. It could be that I want to be thoughtful because I do not want to control my friendships, because we're all growing at different levels and at different times, and our journeys are different. And sometimes it would also mean that we're also growing apart. Okay, there are times, friendships and relationships are strange, right? And even when it comes to even our self-image, being thoughtful means realizing that somebody on their own growth journey is growing way faster than you. And so you'll be thoughtful enough not to expect too much from them or to demand too much of their time. That's being thoughtful, right? I know, maybe 12 years ago, 13 years ago, I'll call you and you don't call me back. I'll be so angry. I'm like, she doesn't even think I'm important in her life, because I have tied my self-image to that person and my relationship with that person, rather than tying my self-image to what I believe of myself. I am thoughtful. I called you, you didn't call me back. Okay, maybe she's busy. Maybe she's got a lot going on, right? So these are some of the things I want you to think about when you're thinking about all these areas of your life. I mean, let's look at health, for instance. You want to now you talked about emotional health, Amaka, so I'll say maybe one of the things that you desire as a purpose or as your mission, your why, could be that you want to be more aware of your feelings, right? And informal, this goes to you as well. You want to be aware of your feelings, so you don't want to have to numb yourself from pain, from anger, from all of those things, from sadness. You want to be able to let it just, if you need to hurt, if you need to cry, let it, but use it as a growing opportunity. Now that's the goal. I want to be able to be aware of my feelings and use it as an opportunity to grow. That's a purpose and that's a mission. So how would you go about that? What are some of the things that you do on a daily basis? Right? Some people say journaling, right? Knowing what those feelings are that you're feeling, addressing them, allowing yourself. Did you want to say something?
Ifoma, just
allowing. Oh, Ifoma, please go ahead.
I heard what you say. I'm listening very attentively. The whole thing of being aware of your feelings and everything, I think growing up, so I had this invisible bottle, which was one of the ways I was able to deal with whatever I was going through at the moment. I had this invisible bottle. So for every time someone would do something that hurts, I didn't learn how to express emotion. I'll throw it in the invisible bottle. And somehow these days, the bottle seems to, from time to time, the bottle would erupt and bubble out and the emotions will be everywhere. But these days it's worse, because now that I don't know, maybe I'm conscious of it now, or the healing process of it is as if the bottle is constantly open. So it's not even as if you don't want to know what you're feeling or how you're feeling. There are times that it's just there, and sometimes your mind, you're talking to someone and all of a sudden you're not even there anymore, and you're seeing the child in you, and you're seeing so many things. So these days I'm really battling with emotions, and it's a miracle I'm still working.
No, but that's okay. That's okay. You are aware of those feelings. Your emotions are, your emotions of sadness or anger is a response to something, and that's fine. It's part of the science of your body. Crying is part of the science of your body, right? So you're aware and you're studying your feelings because you're knowing moments when you need to step back and reflect on what it is that you're feeling, right? And then maybe a goal for you, knowing that you're more aware of your feelings and you're I guess, able to study and process is to perhaps say to yourself, well, my goal is to guard my thoughts and to no longer, ruminate on thoughts that produce negative feelings. That could be a goal, right? That could be a goal that I'm aware, I have studied, so now I'm ready to guard my thoughts so that I don't produce negative feelings, right? It could also be that one of your goals could be to be consistent, to be steady, that you don't, you no longer want a roller coaster of emotions just coming at you all at once. You just want to be steady, right? To say to yourself, my days are always going to be great. Some are not going to be great, but even when I don't have great days, I want to be in charge of my emotions. Okay, so that's what I want you to do in this goal setting. So now I've given you an idea of how to set your goals for each area of your life. I now want you to decide, right? So you have one dream for each area of your life. Under each dream and under each desire, right? I want you to think about 3 things that you need to do, not 10, not 20, just 3 things. So for instance, for your mental health, you want a balanced and calm life. That's your desire. And to achieve this, it means you have to have, say, order around you. That's one goal. I want to have an orderly environment, right? Number 2 goal, I want to be able to take a walk every day by myself. Number 3 goal, I want to start running, right? Or I want to start some kind of emotional intelligence training. Just 3 goals, right? Those are the 3 goals. And so what are you going to do? You have your desire, which is to have a calm and peaceful environment. You have your 3 goals, which is to, perhaps take guard of your emotions, do a walk every evening, and all of those things, those goals that you're going to set. And then you say to yourself, how often? The doing is the part of it. What are the actions that you're going to take? What do you need to do to make sure that you're able to take a walk every day? Get home by 6 p.m. if Lagos traffic permits. If Lagos traffic does not permit, how are you going to do it? Well, I'll try and walk up and down the stairs to just relieve myself of the tension, right? So it means I have to, whatever time I get home, I should be able to walk up and down the stairs, okay? I want to be able to have emotional intelligence training. What do you have to do that, right? I could find a book and read 2 leaves a day. That's what you're going to do. Or I'm going to enter a support group and just make sure that I participate every week. I share my thoughts, right? So you can see how step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4 all tie in. If you don't do a self-examination, there's no way you're going to be able to know what you truly desire in each arena of your life, right? And when you desire those things, you're able to set goals for each thing that you desire. If you desire to be, I guess, joyful, right? You know that, I have to spend more time around more joyful people, have to have moments when I watch something funny every week to relieve myself of tension. I should listen to calming music. Those are some of the things that you would decide to be part of your goals, to make sure that you have listened to the entire, album of, Zeppelin or somebody to just relieve yourself of tension. So what do you have to do? You go and buy the album or you download the album, you set a timer to make sure that at the same time every day you're able to listen to the timer. Those are some of the actions to take. So I think that's it now, Amaka. How many minutes do you have left? Okay. Any more questions, anyone?
Yeah, any more questions? We're doing so far good for time. It's 9:04 and we're done in about...
If anyone wants clarity,
anybody needs clarity on the segments, on the spheres, the life spheres. Step 3, I know Nkem talked about deciding and connecting. You have to connect the dots of everything. You have to connect your desires to the what. So what are those things you want to achieve out of the things you desire? So the why and the what.
Yeah. I mean, there's some questions that are worth, there are some questions that could serve as prompts for each area. So I think if I have a few minutes, let me see if I can think of some from my notes. Okay, something like your health assessment. Some of the things you can think about is, is your mind and your body operating from at their optimal health levels, right? Are you happy with your energy level? Are you exercising enough? Are you managing what you eat by studying how food is affecting your body? Are you deliberate when you're trying to, deliberate enough to protect yourself from things that are harmful for your health, be it friends, be it habits, be it spaces, whatever it is. Are you making time for yourself, for personal time of reflection or meditation or prayer or time alone? Are you getting enough sleep at night? Right? Because people don't realize that the amount of sleep you get also affects your mental and emotional well-being. And so what are the things that you're doing daily to manage your emotions, right? And then when you talk about relationships, you can ask yourself, are my relationships nurturing me? Are they nourishing? Are they supporting you on your journey towards becoming a better version of yourself? Are you intentionally, because Amaka said something about developing herself, are you intentionally developing yourself so that you can positively influence your relationships with others, right? Are you cultivating the contribution or impact of people in your life, in those relationships? Are you open to others? Are you trainable? Are you mentorable? Are you coachable? Because all these things form part of our relationships as well. Amongst your friends and loved ones, can they hold you accountable? Do they find you reliable? Do you have the skills to create boundaries? So even for your relationship, maybe one goal can be to learn how to set boundaries, right? So it means I have to learn to actually make demand of people what I want from them, something like that. And then when you're talking about, something like your impact, you could say, how am I doing? Do I love what I'm doing? The work that I do I love it? Am I enjoying it? Am I peaceful where I work or where I am? Are people happy to ask me for help? Am I really giving of myself or impacting from a place of abundance or from a place of depletion? Because you can't give what you don't have. So that's some of the questions you can ask yourself when you're thinking of impact. You can also ask yourself, how aware am I of either the mindset or the roadblocks or some of the obstacles that is preventing me from contributing or impacting, right? There are some things that limit our ability to impact. So it's also good to be aware of those things, okay? Another thing could be that, are you firm and quick to decisions? Do you make firm and quick decisions? Are you able to do things because you are knowledgeable and because you have allowed yourself to be taught and to also be contributed to, and then when it comes to environment, because you're talking about what the environment where you live or where you work, you can say things to yourself. You can ask questions like, is your space peaceful? Is it peaceful? Are you relaxed at work? Are you relaxed at home? Are you intentional about protecting your environment, the people you surround yourself with, the spaces where you go to? Do you know how to manage yourself in toxic environments? So these are some of the prompts that I'm just giving out so that you can sort of guide your goals, guide your purpose that you're going to use to create some of the action plans that you want to develop. Your mental space and your mindset, is it positive? Because that's an environment as well, right? Are you allowing yourself to be held back by prolonged doubt, fear, scarcity, cynicism, sarcasm of others, resentment? Are those things taking up mental real estate in your brain and in your body? That's an environment. Your body is an environment. Your mind is an environment. So it's all part of things that you also have to think about when you're setting, when you're setting out your mission for each arena of your life towards setting up your goals. And then the people in your environment, are they contributing to your peace and to your order, or are they just driving you mad? And then when you talk about wealth, you can think about, asking yourself, am I worthy of attaining resources, financial resources, or, people resources, right? Am I allowing myself to get more options and opportunities? Is my goal in life to actually create abundance and generosity? Have I intentionally gone on to say this is what I want to create, or am I saying to myself this is what I want for myself and for me alone? Do I value time, and do I see time as a great resource for wealth? And maybe another thing you can ask yourself is, do I see wealth as something that allows me to give of myself? So those are the things that I think are worth mentioning. Maka, over to you.
Wow. Gosh, that was. Don't take off your video. Leave your video on. Don't leave. Don't leave me.
I'm
That
here.
was.
I'm here.
No, I'm just teasing. There's that. There was a meme called "Don't Leave Me." I don't even understand what it means, but anyway, yeah, that was such a powerful session. One thing I like about vision boarding and goal setting, you think you've done it all. You think you've had one session, but every time you do it, when it's a really intentional, genuine session, you get something different. And that's how I feel about today's session. The self-image, again, that really spoke to me. Desires, understanding the etymology of that word, desire from a higher place. Just so many amazing nuggets that you've shared with us today, Nkem. Really, really thankful that you were generous with your time. I that self-image of giving, teaching, that's very much how I see you, and hopefully how you see yourself. And that's why I invited you here, because I knew you would impact this cohort in such a powerful, quiet way, as you has any comments. How did the session impact you? How do you feel? Sorry, I hope my internet connection is still on. I hope it's still on. Okay, good. Yeah, I think that's the cue to wrap up. But if we have no more comments, then I guess it's a good time to say thank you finally. And, I look forward to subsequent sessions. Yoma, thanks for joining us today. We still have two more.
I'm
I think
so
we I
I
think we
just
have
wanted to say I'm really sorry for joining late. I
oh,
just realized why I was so late. I'm actually an hour behind because I'm in the UK. So
you're in
when
the
you
U.
said 7:30, I joined at 7:30, but I just
Ah,
realized I've literally missed half of the
oh my
session. So
goodness.
I
Okay.
apologize for that.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I have to remember that we've got Adenike in South Africa, so I should always put West African time. So that's a lesson. How can I be more thoughtful and remember that not everyone is in my time zone? But yes, thank you so much, all of you, for coming through with your questions, for sharing. Every time you share, it helps another person. So thank you, especially to Ifoma, for your very, very, heartfelt, you know, emotional contributions. Thank you. It really helped our learning. Glory, thank you so much as well for giving us an additional perspective from a kind of leadership and executive perspective. And Denike, also thank you for sharing from that. I would say, when you're starting off in life and you're still trying to figure out who you are, and there's that external pressure to want to drop aspects of yourself, to want to neglect certain aspects of yourself. It's really more about remembering is to remember to focus on the process and maybe not always the end. So it's a funny one. Sometimes they tell you start with the end in mind, but sometimes just enjoy the process and be intentional about learning and and upskilling as you go through the process. So even if you don't finish, we're not hard on ourselves, as Ifoma reminds us. We're not hard on ourselves, but it's very much about the journey. We're all on the journey, and goals, like Nkem said, change. They change as we change. So on that note, I'll end this session. Thank you so much, everyone, for making it so interesting and engaging. Next week, I believe we have negotiating for success. So that should be a very good one. We'll take the strengths from our learnings from today and the previous 2 weeks, and we carry it on into the next week and beyond. Thank you, Nkem. You were brilliant. This session has been recorded, so if you want to watch it again, it will be on the Facebook. It will be in the Facebook private group. Thank you so much. Thank you, Nkem. It was
Thank you,
brilliant.
everyone, for
Very
listening.
much. Really appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Thank
you.
Thank
you.
you.
Good night, all.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.
Nice.
Thanks, Charles. Ayomide. Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night. Charles. You're the only guy today, but you were brilliant.
Thank you. It's fine not saying much, but thank
It's fine. You were taking your notes. It's fine. You're doing the
you.
practical
Yeah, I did
things.
actually. Thank you. It was
You're
quite
welcome.
interesting.
You're welcome.
All right, then. Have
Bye.
a lovely night, man. Night.
Have a lovely night, Charles.
I
You
was wondering if
good?
you could take notes.
Wait, let me stop.
This thing needs more than 2 hours, more than 1 hour, 1.5 hours, 2 hours. How many did we do?